Hello and welcome once again to the Windy City's finest on location with Mac and Perry. He's Mac, I'm Perry, and this is
Angélique.
Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us. I'm super excited to get to know you and about your artwork. And first, just for people watching, can you give us a really broad strokes overview of what it is you do as an artist?
I am a local children's book author, but I'm expanding under an alias name, or what's the word for the author thing? You know,
I think you got it.
Alias,
a pen name or
pen
something.
name, yes.
Yeah.
So I'll be under that a different name as well. So, which is a different kind of genre. So. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's super exciting. And I'm super excited to learn more about that in our future segments with you here. But right now, we're just going to jump into some icebreaker games and kind of get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
Our first thing is usually a bit of trivia. How are you with trivia typically?
Terrible.
Super fair. Me too, honestly. So we'll just dive right in and it'll be a good time. So my first piece of trivia for you, Angélique, is in 1883. What reached the area that would become Medicine Hat, causing a town site first to be developed? A, the Northwest Mounted Police. B, the Canadian Pacific Railway. C, a battle between the Blackfoot and Cree First Nations. Or D, a traveling hat business.
I'm going to say C.
C? That's not the answer we have. The answer we have is the Canadian Pacific Railway. But that's super cool. We'll move swiftly along from that onto our next mini game here of this or that. I'll let you do the honors.
Okay.
Pick the first one, give it a read out, or I could read it out, and we'll just see what your preferences are, and mine also.
Okay. Cottage or mansion?
Cottage or mansion? I think I'm from the UK, so I'd probably lean towards cottage. A nice little small space. I feel like I'd just get lost in a mansion. I wouldn't know what to do. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably love a mansion for all of my stuff.
Sure.
I'm trying to minimalize.
You'd fill it, right?
So I could fill it. But no, a cottage is where my heart is for sure. I love a little A-frame cottage with a little stream. Like, a cottage. Yep.
Nice.
Definitely.
We'll move swiftly along here.
Yeah.
To our tumbling towers. This one seems good. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. That was a journey. What's one act of kindness we should all do more of?
Oh, smile. Smile at strangers. Yeah, smile at strangers. Something I say at the end of my laughter yoga videos. Share a smile with a stranger, because you never know, it might just change their day. And I have noticed that, you know, walking through town, and I'm not having a good day sometimes, and somebody will smile at me, and it's just like, oh. And I just, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh yeah, that's that ripple effect of just that simple smile. I think that's something that we should do more often.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that you don't have to know why somebody's smiling at you. Just take it for what it is and take that energy in. I love that.
Yeah.
I think for myself, based on a recent trip to the dentist, which I'm realizing was a really good trip, actually.
Oh, good.
I had a great visit to the dentist. Mac has heard a lot about it at this point. But it's just being curious. So, like, ask for the story behind things. Literally anything. If somebody's wearing something, or if, you know, you're in somebody's space and you see something that seems unique to that person, just ask them. Be like, what's the story behind that? Be curious. I think that is all the time we have.
Sure.
So we'll leave it on that. This has been the Windy City's finest on location with Mac and Perry. He's Mac. I'm Perry. We are at Unlimited Characters Books, and this is
Angélique.
We'll be right back.
Welcome to Windy City's finest on location here at Unlimited Characters Bookstore. I'm Mac. He's Perry, and this is
Angélique.
I really enjoyed the first segment with Perry. Learning a bit about you as a person. I'm also curious. You mentioned you're an author.
I am.
Tell me about your arts. Tell me about what you do.
Sure. I'm a children's book author. That was the very first thing that I did, and now under a pen name. I have some other books that are journals, books, things that are be coming out under a pen name. And I'm hoping that I'll write some more children's books as well. I mean, I just kind of let wherever the spirit kind of guides me, if you will. I just kind of go with the flow. So,
nice. Yeah, what are they about?
So one is about the family of mammals, family of birds, and family of insects. They're books based about fun facts about all of those creatures, animals. And in the book, it has a place where kids can draw and then also do some fingerprint art on some very lightly shaded images of that insect or mammal or bird. And I'm all about coloring outside the lines. And so I'm not about having it perfect. If the thumbprint goes outside, it's great. I think that really allows kids to know that there can be creativity out of this square box. And I'm all about, you know, broken crayons. Broken crayons still color, so why don't we use them? And so I'm really about that and letting parents and grandparents find the connection with this book as that kind of segue between that to help them create that bond with their children or grandchildren.
What inspired you to start writing these books?
So we were at a family gathering, and a ladybug landed on my nephew's shoulder, and I said, oh, has anybody ever seen like a whole gathering of ladybugs? I've seen it once in my life, and it was magical. I ran in the house to go get my camera, came back out, they were all gone. And I thought, well, I've seen it, it's in my head now, so that's where it should be. And so I asked everybody, do they know, you know? Nope, nobody knew. Everybody that came into the supper, I asked, they were like, nope, but it got the conversation going about asking about different things and whatever. So I was, oh, this is really cool. So on the way home, I said to my husband, I'm going to write a children's book for my nieces and nephews, which I feel terrible. I haven't even given them a copy of my book. I need to write one for a Christmas present or something. Go, so you know, my nieces and nephews are older. They're not young. They were, I think at that time, we'll say 17 plus in age. And then my great nieces and nephews were younger, of course. But so anyway, so this ladybug landed, and I said, okay, nobody knows what this is. On the way home, I said, I'm going to write this children's book because there's got to be some fun facts about ladybugs and different things. So I got home and started researching, and I was like, oh my gosh, they fly 60 kilometers an hour. That's amazing. Wow, that's so cool. And so I started to research other ones, and it just kind of evolved into this book that I then took to our local print shop and I printed, and it was just a little, like, you know, 3x5 or something. And it was thick. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is like, I don't know how I'm going to, this is too much information in one little book. And so I kind of just put it in a drawer and left it. And started to talk about it a little bit with my family and my friends and just tell them what I was doing and how excited I was about this. But I don't know, am I going to make it into cards? What am I going to do with it? I don't know. And then they all started to say, you know, can we see the book? So I said, sure. So they saw it and they were like, this needs to be like a published book. Oh, okay, sounds good. So then that began the journey of how do I get it published? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Yeah, kind of that evolution, if you will, of yeah. It's not just a finished thing that just out the door. Yeah. And what was that process like? Like you got this kind of this small book, it's very thick, and to try to like make it into what it is now.
So the first thing I did was I had a friend that we worked together, and we started a writing circle. It was just him and I, and it was just a place to go to write our books, to be able to get the ideas down to, we were both going to hopefully publish within the next couple of years. So I had now had this book, and it was there. It was an actual thing. And so in the process of that, he also had his book, and he started the publishing process a lot quicker than I did. So he said, I would go with his company. So I said, okay. So I phoned them, and it's not good. The conversation we had, we just didn't jive. The producer, the publisher, me, and I was just like, okay. So I kind of felt defeated. So I just said, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I'm going to print the book off at a local print shop and be done with it, because I don't know. This isn't going to work. And then I felt kind of just defeated because, you know, I haven't got it edited. There's lots of spelling mistakes in it and all of these things. And so I just felt really frustrated. So in the drawer it went again. And then I was at a sound bath, and this lady came and she was talking, what's new with you? And I was like, oh, well, I was trying to write this book. And I thought, I'll bring it up, whatever. And she's like, I have somebody that I need to connect you with. I was like, okay, sure. And people say this all the time. I'm going to connect you with so-and-so. And then I thought, okay. So I got home. Thought, yeah, she's going to connect me. Right. I got home, and I had an email in my inbox. I want to connect you with Dawn. Dawn, this is Angélique, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, she was efficient. She means business. So I'm like, okay, this is a sign. So I got a hold of Dawn. We had our meeting. And she said, I want to help you produce your book. I want to help you birth it, if you will. And I thought, wow. So I sent her the manuscript of what it was. And she was like, this is amazing. Absolutely amazing. She just couldn't rave. She was raving about it. And so then we went through all the things and got the editor set up and everything. And then she's looking at the book, and she said, you know, it's a lot of pages for a children's book. So my advice to you is to break it down into 3 individual books. And I was like, oh, how do I do that? She's like, well, just take a category and make it into 3 categories. I said, okay. So I tried, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't do it because I was like, this is not working. I have all of the facts that I've found already, and I can't make them into 3 individual books because they don't go all into one. I had spiders, I had different things, but they don't fit into the mammal category or the, the bird category. So I was like, oh, and so I was going away to Salt Springs Island to visit my niece, and so I went and was trying to still figure out this book thing. I told her I would, I had about a week to tell her how, if I was going to continue with 3 books or if we were just going to have the insect book, is basically what it boiled down to. So I tried, and I was racking my brains. It wasn't happening, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's just, I'm going to have 1 book. That's it. We're done. Slam my computer shut. I was done. And my niece said, do you want to go for a hike? And I said, well, as long as it's easy. She said, sure. Well, no easy hikes, I don't think, no. So we went, we got to the top, and I was overlooking Salt Springs Island, and I was just like, oh, forgot all about my books. Like, it was just like the best thing, like we had just talked about in our first segment, nature, so healing. And so came back, got to my house, got to my cabin, opened up my computer. I thought, I deserve to give this one more chance, just one more chance. If in the next hour it doesn't happen, we're done. Well, I opened up the computer, and with that intention and that walk in nature, boom, it was like I had these 3, and I was like, it all worked out. So then I came home from Salt Springs Island, and I had a deadline of myself personally of when I wanted to get it done by, my mom's birthday. She was turning 70, I think she was turning 70 at the time. And I said, I want to have it done for her birthday, just a little birthday present for her. And this was September, and her birthday is October 4th. So I was like, okay, we're going to do this. I'm going to get it done. And so literally I sat at the kitchen table for like 3 days. My eyes were bugged out. I was just like, whoa. My husband was like, I'll water you and feed you. I'm like, good. And I was like, and I just literally got these books separated into insects, mammals, and birds. I found all the fun facts, did all the research, read so much, learned so much. I mean, I wish my brain could like have held all that information in there. But it was amazing. And so in 3 days, in 3 days, I finished the second 2 books. And then that's kind of how it all kind of came about.
And with the book specifically, like, you're doing, I assume, like readings with children, or you mentioned like with your family. What's been like the reaction to the books?
So I did a couple of things with the public library here in town, and some stuff with a couple other places in town. And the feedback has been really good from the parents that are there and the interaction and stuff. But the biggest feedback that I got was from a girl in England. A friend of mine bought this for her niece. And her niece, I think she was 10 when they bought it for her. And her mom was like, she doesn't read. She hates reading. Reading is not her thing. Her teachers are saying, like, you need to read. Like, they're so frustrated, and she's not doing it. And she got my family of insects books. And she went to school and brought it and was reading it to her teacher. And they were like, we cannot get her to stop reading this book. Like, her confidence has gone through the roof. She wants the other 2 immediately. It was just the best email, the best feedback I could have ever received, that I helped this little girl find her inner voice and find her confidence in my children's books that are full of fun facts, but she just felt like she knew so much, and she could take it and tell her teacher, and teacher's like, I didn't know that ladybugs flew 60 kilometers an hour. And so just help build that confidence. That was the best feedback I could have gotten.
Nice. What's it like, this is a fairly new endeavor for you, like the book itself. I know you do other things, but what's that like promoting yourself as an author, or being an author in a professional sense?
Trying.
Trying,
Very trying. Social media and I have kind of got this love-hate relationship. I can go hard on social media, and then it's like, oh man, it just sucked the life right out of me. And my family is my #1 core value. And so if I don't have family time, it is like my bucket's not full. And so sometimes I feel like social media can pull me away from that, because I can get so like caught up in wanting to promote this that I forget about that little piece of my family that fills me up. And it's a terrible thing. So I've got to try. Took a year off of social media. It was magical. I loved it. I didn't miss it at all. But now, you know, coming back into, I want to get into the promotion of my books, and I've got some other things happening, and I just really want to dive in a little bit. I'm really trying to find a balance. So I'm trying to be like, okay, I'm going to work Monday to Friday, and I'm going to pretend I'm going to a real job, if we will, real job, outside of the house. And I'm going to work from like 10 o'clock until 3 o'clock, or from this time to this time. And that's going to be my time that I'm going to be doing my business stuff. And then outside of that, I can do creativity, and I can do time with my family. And if my, you know, I have to hang out with I'm going to hang out with my granddaughter on Wednesdays. That's our time together. She's 7 months old. So I'm going to go hang out with her. I'm Wednesday afternoon for 2 hours. So how am I going to take that 2 hours from my day and put it into my evening or on my Saturday, or where am I going to put that so that I just have, like, I know that this is my business space. And if I want to go visit my grandson who lives in High River, then I can go and be like, oh, I'm taking a day or two off. So how am I going to, so just really trying to find that balance for me and know that I can still have that family time, which is so important, but I can also build a business. And so just trying to find that balance is, it's a bit trying, but I'm confident in myself that I'm going to find that. Yeah.
I guess like you've written these 3 children's books. Like, do you have any plans to do more writing in the children's genre?
I do. I do have a couple of ideas. When my son, I guess he was probably 19 or 20. I used to go to McDonald's in the morning and get a. Is that okay? Okay. And get a coffee and a muffin, and I would bring it home. So we'd each have a coffee, and I'd just get one muffin. And so I'd bring it home, and he'd get up from me. Oh, good morning, Mom. Good morning. How are you? Good. Here's your coffee. Okay, good. It's a special treat that we do once a week. And then I would say to him, top half of the muffin or bottom half of the muffin? And he'd always say, top half. Obviously.
Obviously, it's the best
right?
half. Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows this.
Yeah.
So I'd get stuck with the bottom. And then this went on for quite some time, and he said to me, do you never want the top half? And I was like, of course I do. Like, that's the best part of the muffin. And he was like, it is, but why do you never ask for that? And I was like, because I asked you if you wanted it, and you always chose that. So, you know, it's like when you're like, let's have this cake together, and I cut the cake. I cut the cake, you get to choose what piece, because otherwise, if I cut it, I'm going to cut myself a bigger portion. So it kind of, it made a little seed, if you will, in my brain to be like, I should write a children's book about the muffin, the top half of the muffin, the bottom half of the muffin, something about, you know, helping divide, helping people to understand, and something like that, or maybe about parenting, kind of. I don't really, it's kind of just, it's brewing in there, but yeah, because, you know, we have to share, and sometimes we don't always get the bigger piece that we wanted, and so, but that's okay. So there's something brewing there about this muffin, and it was kind of just came from having coffee with my son once a week. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. That sounds like a very interesting concept for a story. And I look forward to seeing it out in the world, maybe.
Yeah, you never know.
Nice, yeah. I think we've got time for one more question, Angélique. Something we were trying to like ask people at the end. We have tweaked it, so I hope I get it right.
Yeah.
So it's how is like your writing or writing these books, like how has that changed influenced your everyday life?
Oh, that's a good question. Definitely changed my everyday life, because words mean more to me than they ever have before. So before I would say, oh, look at that big pile of rocks. You know, sounds great. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Look at that gigantic pile of rocks. So now I'm using words that are more descriptive, and I'm trying to help, you know, my nieces, my nephews, other kids to learn to use these big words that aren't big to us, but they're not common. We don't commonly use those words. We just say the things that are, oh, look at that small. How about look at that tiny? That just makes it sound a bit different. So yeah, I've learned that through this, is that's my words have stretched.
Nice. That's lovely. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation. That is all the time we have for this segment. This is the Windy City's finest on location here at Unlimited Characters Bookstore. I'm Mac. He's Perry, and this is
Angélique.
All right. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome once again to the Windy City's finest on location here at Unlimited Characters. He's Mac, I'm Perry, and this is
Angélique.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed your conversation with Mac in the last segment, and I'm very excited to dive into some of your books here. Yeah, what can you tell me about the first one here? This was the first one that you published.
Yep.
And we heard a little bit about the backstory for this.
Yeah.
What else can you tell me about this piece?
So this is the first book that I kind of drew out of the big collage of the collage that I had, and I could get enough insects to create a book that I felt was like a children's book with enough pages. And so that's how this book became the first book. It was the only book that I was going to do until, of course, these two books did kind of happen. But yeah, that's the first one I published. Yep. So.
And I'm actually going to go with it here and just jump onto the next one. We'll do a brief overview of each one and then jump back to the first one. So this one is all about birds. What can you tell me about this one?
So that one was like going through all of that stuff. I had quite a few birds I had in there. And then I had like to find some fillers. And I was like, what are some things that I can put in there that are also birds that can be related? Because I had in my first book, I had like, snakes. I had spiders. I had all these things, and I thought, oh, it's good. I can just, these books will be fine. I'll just put them all together. But then I couldn't really come up with a title for it because it was like, well, animals, but it's not really animals. Like I really want to hone in on what that is. And so then I did end up finding enough birds to fill up that book. So that was pretty exciting.
And are they all I know we'll learn a little bit more, but I'm just curious, are they all local or is there a wide range?
Yeah, wide range. Yes. Yes.
Awesome. And last but not least, mammals.
Yes, I learned a lot of fun facts about mammals. There's things that I thought, oh, really, that's a mammal? And you know what? I wish I could just draw that right out of my brain. But when I was in the process, I was like, oh, I thought this, and that's not the truth, or vice versa. So I learned a lot about when I just did the research alone. It was really interesting to learn. Lots of things, and what makes a mammal, what makes a bird, what makes it an insect, what makes it the snake, the spiders, reptiles, or the spider. There's a big word for that one. Arachnid. Thank you. See, these are the big words I like to expand with. So, like finding all things that are like that in those categories, it was very interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah.
And you did talk a little bit about it, but I'm very curious about that process, being in process, and the different parts of it. And like, just that research phase, like that gathering all that information. And like, one thing that really interests me is just like the distilling of that. Especially for this medium and audience. What else can you tell me about that? Maybe like for the insects one, what can you tell me about that process?
When I was going through the process, I was like looking and I was reading all of the fun facts. And then there's just a lot of facts about each insect, each bird, each mammal. There's so many. And so I thought, if I was a child between the ages of 4 and 10, what would I find the most interesting? Okay, this would be interesting and this would be interesting. But the fact that, I don't know, they live in an ocean with, whatever species, not interesting. But the fact that this little tidbit, you're like, ooh, they eat this or something like that. It's like, oh, that's interesting. That's very cool. So I just tried to really think in that creative brain of what that age group might find interesting. And, eating, farting, where they live. Like these are things that are important at that age. So that's where my head went to when I was writing these books.
And was that based on like drawing just from like your own experience, reflecting on yourself at that age, or also like your family or people you know?
Reflecting on like just my whimsical, wild, fun, free-spirited life of how I'm like, oh, I'm talking to a 4-year-old, so I'm going to have that 4-year-old conversation. I'm talking to a 40-year-old, the conversation's going to be a bit different. But, I'll probably put in a plug of some kind of funny little thing about whatever, whatever kind of joke it can be. But it would almost be kid relatable too, right? It's just my personality. So thinking about that, thinking about my nieces and nephews, my great nieces and nephews, about what were the things that we would talk about when we hang out? What are the things that they're curious about? So drawing from all of that to try and find the best pieces to put in these books. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to dive right in and read a short snippet if that's cool.
Okay.
We're on Fun Fact About Praying Mantises.
Ooh.
Yes. Don't try to sneak up on a praying mantis because they can turn their heads a full 180 degrees. No other insect can do that. Strange. They just have one ear. It is under their belly. If you are quiet, maybe they will not hear you coming.
I'm going to say they probably will.
Yeah.
It's probably the vibration they hear because their ear's on their belly, right? So they probably hear the vibration on the ground. So that's just, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's got a lovely little arrow in here. I'll just try and showcase this, where they can make a fingerprint.
Yeah.
And so can you tell me a little bit about that process of adding that?
Yeah, so I invite the kids to put their fingerprints on anywhere on this little shadowed animal, and then over in this empty space here to draw their own praying mantis, their own insect, whatever that is. And it doesn't have to look like mine, because I am an adult and my version of things look so different. I remember when I was doing this activity with one of the kids at a market, I just have a bunch of papers printed off that didn't make the book. And I was doing, I think it was a frog. And I was like, they can breathe through their skin. And he was like, oh, that's really cool. That's a fact I didn't know. And so then he's drawing his frog, and I'm looking at his frog, and I'm looking at my frog, and I'm like, my frog is flat. Like, it's like, you know, and his frog was like leaping through the air. He even had like leap marks on it. It was crazy. I was like, I love that he's drawing it from his own imagination and not from the way I see a frog. Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
I'm going to move along to our birds book here. I think we'll just dive right in and find a fun fact. Let's do this one. Ooh, I love this.
It's a good one.
Yeah, we'll do robins, which I love. Fun tidbit here. In the UK, robins are like tiny. They're so small. Yeah, and then when we moved here, robins are like this big.
Yeah.
I was like, or at least with their feathers and everything. But yeah.
Do they have the red breasts? Is there red breasted robins, or is there just different?
Yeah,
okay.
There's probably a bunch. But the small red breasted ones are tiny. And anyway.
Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Fun fact about robins. If you see a robin tilting its head, it's because they are using one eye to look for worms in underground tunnels, and the other eye is watching out for danger. Robins love to eat worms and insects, and even fruit. Each robin has a unique red breast, so if you see a robin hunting for worms in your yard, it's likely the same one each time. I love that. Awesome. And I'm actually just realizing that a part of the artwork here has a fingerprint on it.
Yeah.
That's a consistent thing throughout them all?
Yeah.
I just realized that, but it's just beautiful.
It's not my fingerprint.
No, that's fair. But I just noticed it because it's red, and that's the color of those. So what can you tell me about like the artwork in these, and just like either designing them or making them, getting them?
Yeah. So designed in Canva, and then I took the idea of what that was, and I just put like the fingerprint art that I found in fingerprints that I found in Canva. I would just put it on there and add it in. And so some of them are a little basic. The peacock's got all kinds of different feathered colors, fingerprints, because that's how I see a peacock, right? Of course, there's the male and the female. The female is brown. The male is all beautiful colored to be like, ooh, look at me, look at me. Yeah. I'm so fantastic. And so, you know, if somebody wanted to do one and looks different, I invite them to make it look different. Just because I said a red-breasted robin, maybe red to you is really like fire engine red, or maybe it's a really pastel-y red. Like, it doesn't matter. It can just be your thing. But yeah, you don't have to do exactly what I do in these books. I invite them to use their creativity.
Yeah, and imagination.
And imagination.
Right on the front.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. What can you tell me about the role of imagination in your practice here? Because you've talked to it a bit about like putting yourself in like the shoes of like that age range and like what would they find interesting. What can you tell me about engaging your imagination? What does that look like for you?
I have imagination from the time I get up in the morning until I think I have it all night too. I really love the world of imagination. I love the creativity. I love what that can bring for me. So whether it is, like I said earlier in my last segment, I do comedy, children's books writing, you know, some adult writing, I do improv, I do all of these things because it's all a creative thing and I can use my imagination in all of it. And it's all in different kind of levels, but I can really draw from just what is it I need to imagine today. And I just, imagination is so important, especially with my nieces and my great nieces, and now I have grandchildren. So using my imagination for all the things, you know, making up stories. I remember when I lived with my great nieces, or my niece and my two nieces in Ontario, and we'd go up this hill, and there was a big rock at the top, and we would sit there, and we would just sit, and it was kind of our quiet rock, and then we would leave there, and then I would tell them a story. And I'd make this story up as we were walking down the hill. It was like, they'd be like, oh, look at this flower, and look at this bug, and look at this cloud. And then I'd be like, oh my gosh. So then I'd make up this whimsical story. And it just came out of my imagination. And it was just, I loved thinking back and reflecting on those moments. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
And do you feel like there's like cross-pollination between like your different things that you do, and like using your imagination in like comedy, right? Stand up. How does that intersect with your writing? And so on and so forth.
Yeah, I really can just be like, in that moment, this is children's book writing. I'm writing from a children's perspective. So really like going into my imagination of what is it like to be a child? What is that like? What are the things that inspire, that make them curious, whatever. And when I'm doing my improv, you know, I'm an adult, so what does that look like from an adult's perspective? What is the connection with an adult that I'm going to make for in this imagination area that I'm drawing from? So I can just really, I guess, kind of flip from page to page, if you will. You said pollination earlier, so I was like, hey, this is kind of like a little fun thing you got going on here.
Awesome. So, that's super insightful. We are pretty much out of time, but I would be remiss if we didn't get a fun fact from our last one here about mammals. We got to do sloths. I love sloths. There we go.
Nice.
Fun fact about sloths. Sloths live in trees and move very slowly. They hardly ever leave home except once a week to go potty. Sloths eat leaves by using their long, sticky tongues with tiny spikes. They also have sharp claws to hold onto branches and protect themselves from predators. And there's a cute little sloth right there. I love it. On the tree branch.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I guess like my last little question here would just be like, you kind of touched on some of like the challenges, but I'm really curious, like, are there any like challenges that you encountered in making any one of these, or one of them in particular, that you overcame?
The spelling.
Right.
My misspelling in the first book that I wrote. I had to really overcome that challenge, and really being able to look at that from a children's point of view as well, like from a parent, but looking at it because it's a children's book. And if my child makes a mistake, do I scold them? Do I really hold this? Like, no, I don't. I really I encourage them to let that go. I encourage them to learn from it. And I needed to really be gentle with myself and reminding myself, it's like my inner child is saying, you know, I did this wrong, but I just need you to help me get through this. And I really needed to work through that. And when I found out that it happened, I was ready to take all my books off the shelf. I was ready to just be done. And so it took me about 3 days to really get through that. So that was a big thing that I had to work through. And mistakes happen. And we just grow from them, and it's okay. It's okay. As an adult, I wrote a book and I made a mistake. As a kid, you do something, you make a mistake. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that sentiment to kind of end off on. And what I get out of that is just that idea of like grace for yourself, and also that, kids can be brutally honest, but also incredibly forgiving.
Yes.
And so I think that's a really beautiful sentiment to end off on. And that we can take that lesson for ourselves as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. That is all the time we have for this segment. So this has been the Windy City's finest on location at Unlimited Characters. He's Mac, I'm Perry, and this has been
Angélique.
Thank you so much.
It's Mac and Perry.
in the place. Da-na-na-na, Mac and Perry.
Go live to create. Da-na-na-na, Mac and Perry invite you to stay.